Well, this week, the PGA Tour season begins with the Fortinet Championship, and they're also going head-to-head against LIV Golf, who's in Chicago for their 5th event of this invitational series. Elk, we want to come on, and obviously we talk about LIV, we cover it, and with Dustin Johnson winning the Boston event just a few weeks ago, really, it was a dream come true for them. And DJ now sitting just shy of $10 million in his total earnings since joining LIV.
Yeah, and this week, it's a strategic move by LIV, playing the tournament in Chicago. It's probably one of the third biggest golf markets in the United States. The tour doesn't play there anymore. We used to, for years, go up there. I remember when I first joined the tour, Diane, back in the day, played Butler National. It was one of the greatest courses ever. And then for years and years, the Western Golf Association hosted at Dub's Dread, and it was I remember when Tiger first came on the scene, and all the people from Chicago came out to watch all that happen. And, I sort of think about Chicago. It's one of the great towns. It's a shame that the tour, doesn't have it on its schedule. However, LIV is a very opportunistic league, Diane, and strategically wise, it's a very good move for them to go to Chicago, don't you think?
Yeah, Boston to Chicago, two huge American sporting cities. And there's been a lot going on this week surrounding some more rumours of potential signings. We have one new signing that we're going to talk about this week, but let's start by talking about Jon Rahm and the rumours that were surrounding him this week, that he was going to be the next LIV signee. We had heard it from a few different sources. I saw it break on Twitter yesterday, and then Jon Rahm came on and shut it down himself.
Yeah, you never know anymore, Diane, whether these rumours start or they finish. We do know that Jon Rahm's agent, of course, is Phil Mickelson's agent. Mm-hmm. We also know that the Commissioner Monahan flew to Brooks Koepka's wedding in the Bahamas for his wedding, and the week after that, Brooks Koepka turned around and signed with LIV. So do we really know anything anymore?
No. And, people, we generally get really good comments when we talk about LIV, and people say that it's good that we do it in an impartial way. Sometimes people will come at me and say that I'm so pro PGA Tour and so against LIV. I'm not against LIV. Competition is healthy, and we're now the 5th tournament in this series, and they've proven that they're offering something new, not only to the golfers who are out there, but to the fans. People are enjoying it. But I think the thing that I really don't like is it's just the way that, you're right, someone can say one thing about it and then do something completely different the next. So that a lot of it seems to be a little bit kind of underhand, and we could have someone like a Jon Rahm in the media saying, I'm loyal to the PGA Tour, I'm not going, and then a couple of weeks later they're off. So that's what makes it hard to swallow sometimes.
Yeah, and what we're seeing so far, when you start to see some of these demographics come out, it's clear what LIV is trying to do. They have different scene at the golf course. My son Sam went to it. We had the contingent from some of my friends here in Houston went last event in Boston. Yeah. Definitely targeting younger people. The demographics that are coming in are saying that is true. They're more in the 40s as opposed to the PGA Tour average person who watches it. By the way, average person watches the tour is 68. That seems high to me. However, LIV Golf is going for a lower. If you're a business person, does that make sense that could grow? Probably. If you're attracting a younger set of people where there's music and there's different things for them to do when they go to the golf event, it's over in a short period of time, almost like a baseball game or extended football game, yeah, size-wise, then, it's a product that's new.
And when it comes to being able to watch it, we read this week that Apple TV turned it down. They just thought there was too much heat surrounding it all. But Greg Norman has said that they are working on TV deals. But with the streaming side of things, and I know that you're friends at the golf club, you guys talk about this, but I've seen a lot of comments of people saying, yeah, but I can watch it anywhere I go. I can stream it on my phone. I can watch it on YouTube. I can watch it on the website. Yes, you could watch anything anywhere you go these days on your phone, but that sort of streaming platform service that they're offering right now through YouTube and their website isn't putting people off.
No, I don't think so. My comment to people is, when they come at me about watching LIV Golf, I say, look, it's so easy to watch. Even I can do it. I can go to my voice command on my TV and go YouTube, go into a third party, comes on, I hit LIV Golf pops up, and I touch it, and it says round 1, and bang, bing, I'm on it. So, I'm learning this from my kids. They're like, Dad, I mean, we watch it stuff wherever we want to. I was with another friend in California this last week that his daughter, her TV is only streaming. There is no other channels on it. So when you put it on, it only has the options of streaming of different Hulu or YouTube or Apple. And that's the way things are going. So, I'm not intimidated to go watch it. I mean, it's very easy to do. That's out. We've talked on this show about people that are disappointed with LIV. The product is excellent. They play on great courses. We're going to talk about the course they're playing this week. And they go all over the world. I mean, I can't imagine this has only been played in the US plus one tournament in England. When they go to Bangkok and they go, to some of these other places, Australia next year, it is going to be massive in my view. No one overseas have seen this group of players, and this is a stout group of players, Diane. When you start to think, well, that guy's left, he doesn't have a good personality, tour's not going to miss him. That guy's not that good either. Whatever, he used to play well and all that, but it's the totality of the hole that they've left at the tour. Now's at LIV. Now this product can be sold, and now the tour is left over here slightly dismembered, Diane, and they have to try to raise their purses and sell a product with 30 less guys. And I know, I'm hearing it from sponsors, I'm hearing it through a lot of people that it's a tough sell right now.
And as we were talking about Rory McIlroy winning the FedEx Cup and being that real kind of vocal sports spokesperson for the PGA Tour, they have Dustin Johnson, who won his first LIV event the other week in Boston, and he's leading the points/money list right now. He's made 9.9 million. He's sitting at number 1. Brandon Grace is number 2, and then we've got Taylor Gooch at number 3. So these are all guys that have come from the PGA Tour. I mean, Dustin Johnson was their big star player, and he's sitting at the top of the standings.
Yeah, the real next big debate for me in this whole PGA Tour versus LIV is going to be World Cup points, World Cup ranking. And is Dustin Johnson, he is one of the top 10 players in the world, and he's not getting any points right now. He's slowly slipping, and on the PGA Tour side of it, they say, hey, we're just going to do the world ranking points over here for now, and these guys over here don't exist. Yeah. But in reality, these guys that are getting bumped up. We talked about Jason Duffner, who, when the LIV guys were pulled off the money list, Jason Duffner got it back on tour. We saw an article with
Jimmy Walker.
Same boat. So I don't think the tour, a good policy is that they don't exist. I think in my mind, the LIV Golf, this organized, this well done, deserves to be in the official World Golf Ranking point system. Now, does that mean that they can't come back to the tour and play? Probably. Does it mean they can play the majors down the road? Okay, I could live with that. I'm sort of, everyone's so upset about these guys coming back to the tour. Okay, I'm not hearing that from Dustin Johnson, Bryson DeChambeau, all these really big name players. They're not trying to come back. It's more of the guys that are still trying to get their way into the majors. So is there a way that the tour, they come together, Diane, they say, you know what, we're going to give you guys some points at LIV, but they're only going to work for you to get into the majors. If you can get into the majors and you're the best player, then good for you.
And then are they going to have to make LIV 72 holes? Are they going to have to ditch the 54-hole format to make that fair?
Well, I talked to Pat Perez on the phone. They said, look, I don't know any of this to be true, other than he said, look, if we had to go to 72 holes, nobody over here is worried about it because it's only 14 more days. We only have a 14-week schedule, so it'd be only one more day times 14. So, it's not a big stress. They played 72 holes their whole career. So if that's what it meant, I don't think that would bother them over there.
Okay. Right, well, let's talk about this week then. As we said, in Chicago, Rich Harvest Farms in Sugar Grove. It's about an hour from downtown Chicago. Looking at the course on paper, first glance, it is a long course, 7,700 yards. Hosted the Solheim Cup in 2009, the NCAA Men's and Women's Championship in 2017, and then the Arnold Palmer Cup last year, which we are going to talk about again in a little while. But yeah, what do you make of this course, and what have you heard about it?
Well, I talked to Perez yesterday. He said, Elk, the course is fabulous. I was told by a few of my friends in Chicago that maybe I wouldn't like the course because it's kind of quirky in places with some sharp dog legs. Although I asked Pat about that, and he said, look, the golf course is awesome. It's sort of wide open on one side of it. It's long. On the other side, it goes into some trees with some severe dog legs. But, Diane, I've always liked courses that are kind of quirky, a little bit like me. So, one of the things we have established at LIV is they play good courses and they're in good condition. And the other thing is they're not easy. I mean, they're playing, and Pat's confirmed that. He's like, he said, you think we're coming over here to play a pro-am or a exhibition? It's not. This is like, we are stretched out. Now, of course, Pat is he was the last in the field last week at Boston in driving distance. So he said, I got to be on these courses that are narrow because these guys, I can't beat them if they let it, if we just bombs away.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. With this being a long course, and he told you that parts of it are really open, maybe some of these guys like DJ and Matt Wolf, Bryson are going to be able to let it rip. But it is, I read a lot about the course, and it's known for being very, very tight. The fourth hole is called Devil's Elbow. A lot of dog legs, that one in particular being intimidatingly tight off the tee. Tree-lined fairways, obviously. So that's cool. That's a good mix. I mean, maybe these long hitters are going to be able to let it rip, but someone like Pat, precision is going to really come into play.
Yeah, and I spoke to Mark Leishman on Monday. He was headed to LIV, and he was on his way to check it out. And I said, "What was your first impressions like in Boston?" He said, "Elk, it was so different." He said, "Can't really explain it other than it's just a different scene. It was fun. Not that the tour is certainly not fun; it's fun too. But he said it's a different product. He said, give me another couple of weeks." But he said, "I'm enjoying myself on his first week." Of course, a lot now is starting to emerge about the team aspect, Diane. 4 aces, as we know, Dustin Johnson's team with Patrick Reed, Taylor Gooch, who, by the way, Taylor Gooch, is he the most improved player sort of on the golf scene this year? I mean, the guy is playing great. He goes everywhere and plays great. And, of course, Pat Perez on the 4 aces team, they've won the last 3 events in a row. They have the best team. And there was a reason, if you watched our show last week, there's a reason for that. They were organized, and DJ went and recruited these guys to put them on the team. Other teams now are getting the whiff of this $750,000 a piece for the first prize each week, Diane. So they're all now trying to establish their teams, and they're starting to sort of catch up to that. Very interesting. I personally like the team event because if it's a runaway in the individual, I'm pretty much watching how 4 aces are doing and who can challenge them.
Well, just going back to Taylor Gooch there, I was looking at his stats. He's number 3 in the season-long points list on LIV, but he played at Wentworth last week for the BMW Championship, finished 4th there. So he hasn't finished worse than 9th in any of the other 4 LIV events, and then went and finished 4th at Wentworth in the DP World Tour's flagship event. So, and obviously their team, 4 aces, has won on the last 3 occasions. So you're right about Taylor Gooch. I mean, I would pick him as one of my favourites this week for sure. Yeah,
and is it true that if he was on the tour, Gooch that is, he's won one time, is he sort of lost in the shuffle of the guys back in there, or would he have emerged anyway on the PGA Tour amongst all the other players? But he's certainly, in my mind, I said, why? I asked Pat why Gooch is so good. He said, Elk, he hits a mile. He putts probably as good as anyone out there, and his club face on his swing is all under control, and he hits it straight, and he's just really good, and he's becoming better, and he's only young and fit and strong. And so, I don't think, I'm not going to get on this show and tell you all the things that people say what's wrong with LIV. These guys are working hard over there. I tried to get on the phone with Pat yesterday. He said, I'm in the gym. I said, well, that's a good thing. You stay there because he said, I'm doing this because I got 2 kids now. And he said, I got to pack the car every day. And he said, I'm worn out by the time I pack the kids and unpack them. So he said, I'm going to get in shape so I can do that at the very least.
That is funny. And we've already talked about how Pat is on this team with these three incredible players who are in really good form right now. Patrick Reed played great at Wentworth too. So Pat doesn't want to feel left behind. He wants to feel like he's contributing and doing his bit for the team.
Yeah, and we know that, as we talked about on the show, Diane, 2 scores come off day 1, I think 2 scores off day 2, and then 3 scores on the last day. Pat was already told me that he said, Elk, I can't beat some of these guys on these big courses. He says, but my job at the Four Aces is to get in there and have a good score, make my score count, and let these guys go crazy. It's an easy formula. I mean, you look at some of these other teams like Phil's team, Phil Mickelson that is, or Bryson DeChambeau, or these other guys. They've got good players, Diane, but their bottom end guy, the Pat Perez's of their team, are not pulling them into play. They got to have 3 of them playing good pretty much all week. So. Yeah. Pat's taking a lot of heat, Diane. They keep saying that he's winning $900,000 a week and he's not doing anything, but he is. He's counted his scores in every event. We could go back and tell you that's true, and it is true. Okay. So I told him on the phone the other day. I said, look, one of the reasons I think Four Aces are doing so well, DJ, he doesn't care about anything. He's going for it. Reed, of course, he's the most focused guy. He doesn't care what media is saying. Gooch is completely sold into this formula. He's like, I'm in. And then Pat's falling. So that team mentally is very, very hard to beat right now.
Yeah. Okay. One person I do want to talk about quickly is the newest signing to LIV, David Puig, and he had been at Arizona State as a junior. He played in LIV London and LIV Bedminster, and he played as an amateur in those events. Now he's turned professional and signed with LIV on a full-time basis. He's going to be part of Joaquin Niemann's team, which seems great. But I mentioned earlier that the 2021 Arnold Palmer Cup was held at this course last year, and he played. He was part of it. So he's making his professional LIV Golf debut on a course that he's played before, which maybe puts him at a little bit of an advantage this week.
Yeah, for sure. And I think for him, I was talking to a couple of college kids yesterday at the golf course, and we were talking about, they were asking me what they should do, or what if LIV came to them. And I said, look, here's the deal. If you're in college and you're coming out and you want to join the tour, it's going to cost you a lot of money, probably $100,000 to play the Corn Ferry for a year before you got onto the tour. Now, David Puig,
I think, yeah.
Yeah. Now, David Puig, who just coming out of Arizona State, which is where Phil Mickelson went and Pat Perez went. He's not on the tour. He's on LIV. He can go over to LIV, make a bunch of money, Diane. I mean, he could finish last in every event that he's in and start getting some bank in his pocket. And if it doesn't work out for him on LIV, it's a natural for him then to go to play the tour. I think LIV has the best model for guys coming out of college because there's no downside for them. At the very least, they're going to make a ton of money. Yeah.
And I guess we haven't seen it yet, but would he be allowed to then go and play the tour? Like, what's the rule with that? Because obviously he was never a PGA Tour member, so he's not banned by them right now. I wonder what they would think about him going to the tour for the first time.
No, the rule right now is if you have no status anywhere, like someone coming out of college, then you are not affected by any of the bans at all. So it's a no-brainer for anyone out of college, a good player. I mean, I'm thinking that LIV is going to be handpicking these guys. When I started the tour and I came out of college, we went straight to the tour school. And you played 108 holes at tour school, and the top 50 went onto the tour. I went to the bank and borrowed $20,000, put 3 down on a car, and I went on the tour with $17,000. That was in 1986. This way, goes straight on, finishes last this week, Diane. He makes $120,000. Yeah. Let's say he flames out. A couple of months from now, he decides to try for the Corn Ferry. He's got the money behind him. I mean, this is the best possible start, in my mind, for a young player coming out of college.
That makes a lot of sense. It really does. Well, let's see how it all goes down in Chicago this week. And Elk, another part of it is they have these big musical concerts every week. And this week they have Jason Derulo. Are you familiar with the works of Jason Derulo?
I am not. Please tell me. Of course, you're much younger than I am, so you tell me what I'm missing this week.
He's cool. He's had a lot of big songs. He hasn't really done anything for a while, but he'll be. I think he's a good entertainer. I think he'll be good at putting on a show.
Well, one of the things, as we know, that LIV has, they have a great scene up there. I had one of my friends tell me the infrastructure is big. They got the food court where all the local food trucks from around town, they bring all those in. They got all the stuff for the kids. And then, they, of course, they have fireworks and a big concert at the end of each round. So, hey, new product, Diane. We're learning about it every week, and we're going to learn more as we go.
Excellent. Right. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and comment, subscribe, tell us what you think. And we also have our tour report up for the Fortinet Championship, which gets underway today in Napa. We'll be back next week. President's Cup next week. No LIV guys playing, but we'll be here to handicap this big event going on, Team International against Team USA at Quail Hollow.